Hi everyone, it's Sintang Mayumi. I have a birthday card tutorial for you today. This light up card that I made is for my son's birthday. He turned 5 years old last week. I used Kindred Stamps Video Game Brothers stamp set. I went ahead and colored my images off camera to save some time on the video. I colored them with my Zig Clean Color Wheel Brush markers. And then I fussy cut them with my detailed scissor. I also use my memento marker to color the edges of my images so it looks seamless and the imperfection of my fussy cutting won't show. Here are my colored images ready to go. I use my Jelly Roll Stardust pens to write letter L and letter M on my images' hats. I also already cut out the box with question mark and I'm going to use 2 of those in the front of my card. I have this galaxy background that I made and I didn't like the way it turned out, so instead of throwing it away, I decided to use it for my panel. I got 3 panels from this galaxy background. My panel measures 8 1/4 by 3 1/2 and my card base is 110-pound black cardstock from Michaels and it measures 7 1/2 by 8 1/2 and I scored at 3 3/4. I arranged my images on my panel the way I wanted. I did took a picture of it on my phone so I can look at the picture when I add the images on my panel later. I just did this way first so I know where I want my box of question marks are. I will trace the question mark cutout on the panel with my white Jelly Roll pen so I know where to cut them on my panel. After I traced the question marks on my panel, I cut them out using my blade cutter. And now I will trace the inside of the question marks that we cut out on the card base. And again, I'm using my white pen so I can see it clearly on the black paper. I cut a piece of white cardstock. I think this one is just scraps on my table. And I cut it to 1 inches by 2 inches and then I'm going to score it in the middle. And I will fold it in half and that is where we are going to house our coin battery. I will adhere the folded paper that we just cut on the black paper and I'm placing it on the upper left side of my card base. And then I'm going to mark negative and positive sign in the inside of the folded paper and draw lines going to the question marks. The circuit needs to have 2 lines for it to work, so 2 lines for negative and positive. I use copper foil tape for my circuit and this one that I'm using is by Tapes Master. I will leave a link on this one in my description box below if it's still available. I got this one on Amazon. I also cut my cover foil tape in half because that one that I have is 1/4 inches, and if you cut it in half you get more from your copper foil tape. So I didn't know that my camera stops filming while adhering the copper foil tape on the paper. I just noticed it when I'm already done, but this is how it looks after I adhere the tape. I also added my LED circuit stickers, and I used Chibitronics, and I picked a yellow light color so it will match the yellow box. I cut some scraps of vellum and I will adhere it on the back of the panel. I did double up my vellum so it's not too bright for the lights, but you can use just one layer of vellum if you like. And then it's time to adhere the yellow boxes with cutout question marks and lining up with the cutout question marks on the panel. And I will adhere the rest of the images on the panel using liquid glue. For the sentiment, I used Tim Holtz Things / Talk stamp set. I used the Happy Birthday sentiment. I will stamp it on scraps of dark blue shimmery cardstock with Versamark ink and emboss it with Wow Opaque Bright White embossing powder. And then melt the powder with my heat tool. As you can see, I embossed 3 sentiments here. I will use the other 2 sentiments on 2 cards that I made. I also embossed the word "one up" directly on my panel. I was very careful doing this because I already have my images on my panel and I don't want to ruin it and start all over again. I use my white gel pen to touch up the word "one up" so it doesn't look splotchy. And then I cut the sentiment in half using my Fiskars trimmer, and I will add foam tape on the back and adhere it under the blocks on the panel, and the sentiment is the only one with dimension and the rest is adhered flat on my panel. I test my circuit one more time if it really works before adding the foam tape. I double up the foam tape. I think I was so generous with my foam tape here, but I want to make sure my card is not going to fall apart later because I know my son will keep this card. After I added all the foam tape, I'm now going to adhere my panel on my card base and try to line up the yellow boxes with question mark on the lights. I wrote press here on one of the yellow coin and I will adhere that where the battery is so my son knows where to press to see the lights. For the inside of the card, I have another panel and I'm using my T ruler here to draw a straight line. I'm going to mask the bottom part of the line and I'm going to do some ink blending. I use tumbled glass distress oxide to color the sky, and for the ground, I use aged mahogany. And I use makeup brush to do the blending. I really like these brushes because you get smooth blended colors. I dried my panel with my heat tool to make sure I don't smear the inks. Then I will add all the characters or after I'm done adhering all the images on my panel, I will adhere this panel in the inside of the card. And my card is finished. My son loves this card. He thinks it's the most awesome card that he received for his birthday. Before I go, I want to show you the stars that I colored from the stamp set Lanfon Blue Skies. I colored it with my Zig yellow marker and add the lines with black Sharpie for the eyes. I didn't use the stars on my light up card because it was afterthought, and my son also told me that the card needs to have power stars, so it's his idea. And these are the two cards that I made. These ones are not light up cards. My son and I also had fun making these magnet characters. I laminated them and added magnets on the back so we can stick them on the fridge or any surface that you can use for magnets. I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial and get inspired. As always, thank you so much for watching and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.